The old inn stood alone. It was on the edge of town, silent and imposing. The Wayside Inn had seen better days. Its paint was peeling, the roof sagged, the sign creaked ominously in the wind, but it still offered weary travelers a place to rest, for those brave enough to venture within. Emma arrived as dusk settled, a lone traveler with a heavy heart. The innkeeper, a man, greeted her with cautious eyes. You're sure you want a room, miss? Especially this late?" he asked. His voice was a low rumble. Emma smiled tiredly. "Just for the night," she replied. "Any room will do." The innkeeper hesitated. He seemed about to speak, then thought better of it. "Room 6 it is then," he muttered, handing her a rusty key. A shiver ran down Emma's spine. She couldn't explain the sudden unease that washed over her. Room 6 was on the top floor, at the end of a long, dimly lit hallway. The air grew colder as Emma approached. The musty scent of decay intensified. The room itself was small and cramped. A single window offered a glimpse of the town below. The furniture was old, covered in dust sheets that looked like shrouds, but the most striking feature was the mirror. The mirror stood in the corner, tall and ornate. Its silver backing was tarnished with age, covered in dark, swirling patterns that resembled ancient script. Emma couldn't help but feel drawn to it, as if it held a strange, magnetic pull. She cautiously approached the mirror. Her reflection stared back at her, or at least it should have. The reflection in the mirror was not quite right. It mimicked Emma's movements, but there was a subtle shift in its eyes, a flicker of something cold and hungry. As Emma slept, she was plagued by nightmares. Whispers seemed to emanate from the mirror. They spoke of despair, of loneliness, of being trapped. She woke with a gasp. Her heart pounded in her chest. The room was freezing. Emma tried to ignore the mirror, but its presence was overwhelming. She felt its gaze upon her. Every time she turned around, the reflection seemed to change. Subtle distortions in its features, a cruel smile playing on its lips. Panic began to set in. She felt a growing sense of dread, as if she were being watched, hunted. The reflection in the mirror grew bolder. It no longer attempted to mimic Emma. Instead, it moved on its own, a sinister doppelganger. One night, as Emma lay awake, paralyzed by fear, she saw it. The reflection reached out from the mirror. Its hand, long and skeletal, emerged from the glassy surface. Its touch sent shivers down her spine. Emma screamed. She scrambled back from the mirror. Her eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape. But there was nowhere to go. The reflection stepped out of the mirror. The sound of shattering glass filled the air. Shards of the mirror rained down around it. The reflection was no longer a reflection. It was real, and it was coming for her. The next morning, the innkeeper found room 6 empty. The door was ajar. A cold breeze blew through the shattered window. He stepped inside cautiously. His eyes fell upon the remnants of the mirror. His blood ran cold. He knew. He had always known. The mirror had claimed another victim. The innkeeper stood there for a long moment, staring at the shards of glass scattered across the floor. He felt a profound sense of sadness and a chilling realization. The mirror would always be there, waiting for its next victim. And he, the innkeeper, was powerless to stop it. He sighed, resigned to his fate. The Wayside Inn would continue to stand, a beacon for lost souls, and the mirror in room 6 would continue to claim its victims.